Okay, Mr. Clerk, if you want to ring the bell, we're going to start getting people back in. Okay, members will begin making their way back to their seats. Got a couple of announcements that we're going to do before we vote the chairman's motion. Chair recognizes Chairman Beverly for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Georgia House Democratic Caucus will have a quick meeting on Zoom as soon as we can. It will happen in the next 2 minutes. Mr. Speaker, the Georgia House Democratic Caucus needs to have a meeting on Zoom for the next several minutes. Please check in to the same meeting ID that you had this morning. Mr. Speaker, if you could give us a few minutes, we'd greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Hitchens for an announcement.
There will be a brief meeting of the Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee upon adjournment in 606 CLOB. It's a simple bill, shouldn't take 3 minutes.
What purpose does Chairman Fleming rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that Senate Bill 402 be moved from the Judiciary Non-Civil Committee to Judiciary. Both chairmen have agreed.
Chairman Fleming has moved that Senate Bill 402 be withdrawn from the Judiciary Non-Civil Committee and committed to the Judiciary Committee. The clerk will read the caption.
Senate Bill 402 to be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 6 of Title 17, Part 3 of Article 6 of Chapter 11 of Title 15, Chapter 10 of Title 16, Article 4 of Chapter 3 of Title 42, and Article 1 of Chapter 7 of Title 52 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated.
On the gentleman's motion, is there objection? Chair hears none, and it is so ordered. Do you have another motion? State your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Senate Bill 289 be moved from Ways and Means to Judiciary. Both chairmen have agreed.
Chairman Fleming has moved that Senate Bill 289 be withdrawn from the Ways and Means Committee and committed to the Judiciary Committee. The clerk will read the caption.
Senate Bill 289 to be titled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 48, the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to ad valorem taxation of property.
On the gentleman's motion, Senate Bill 289 be withdrawn from the Ways and Means Committee and committed to the Judiciary Committee. Is there objection? Chair hears none, and it is so ordered. Okay, Mr. Clerk, ring the bell. All members will be in position to vote. All members be in position to vote. On the motion, of Chairman Hitchens that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 838, all those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines and call the roll.
Alexander, Anulowicz, Barr, Barton, Belton, Bennett, Bentley, Benton, Beverly, Blackman, Bodie, Bruce, Burns, Carpenter, Carson, Chokus, Clark H., Collins, Cooper, Corbett, Dempsey, Dickey, Dollar, Drenner, Dubnik, Abstration, England, Irwin, Fleming, Fry, Gaines, Gardner, Glanton, Gravely, Harrell, Hatchett, Hawkins, Hitchens, Holcomb, Holmes, Houston, Hughley, Jackson M., Jaspers, Jones J., Kelly, Kendrick, Knight, LaHood, Laricchia, Lumsden, Martin, Mathiak, McCall, Morris G., Newton, Nix, Oliver, Parrish, Parsons, Petrie, Perkel, Powell, Reeves, Rhodes, Ridge, Ridley, Rutledge, Scoggins, Setzler, Silcox, Smith L., Smith R., Smith V., Smyrie, Stevens R., Tankersley, Tanner, Tarvin, Taylor, Thomas E., Trammell, Washburn, Watson, Welch, Werkheiser, Wiedauer, Williams A., Williamson, Yurda, Allen, Bazemore, Bernau, Cannon, Carter, Clark D., Clark J., Cook, Davis, Douglas, Dreyer, Donahue, Earhart, Evans, Frazier, Gilligan, Gertler, Henson, Hill, Hogan, Holland, Holly, Hobson, Howard, Hutchinson, Jackson D., Jones S., Jones T., Jones V., Couch, Kennard, Lopez Romero, Marin, McLean, McLaurin, McLeod, Meeks, Mitchell, Moore B., Moore C., Morris M., Nelson, Wen, Paris, Prince, Pullen, Robichaux, Saints, Schofield, Scott, Shannon, Sharper, Smith M., Stevens M., Stevenson, Thomas A.M., Turner, Walensky, Wilkerson. Williams, MF. Williams, N. Wilson. Beasley, Teague.
No.
Bonner.
No.
Buckner.
No.
Burchett. Caldwell.
No.
Campbell.
Yes.
Cantrell.
No.
Dickerson.
No.
Dukes. Gamble.
Yes.
Gilliard. Gordon.
No.
Green. Gullett.
Yes. Yes.
Jones, JB.
No.
Kirby. Lott.
Yes.
Mathis.
Yes.
Metz.
Yes.
Momtahan.
No.
Park.
Yes.
Pruitt.
No.
Rogers. Momtahan.
Yes.
Park.
No.
Pruitt.
Yes.
Rogers. Singleton.
No.
Stovall.
No.
Williams, R.
Yes.
Belton. Bennett. Benton. Blackman. Cannon. Cooper. Dollar. Gaines. Gilliard. Gilligan. Harrell. Holcomb.
All members will look at the board and make sure that it is consistent with your vote. Clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 838. The ayes are 92, the nays are 74. This House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 838.
We're printing now.
Okay, we got one item of business remaining. The Georgia State Senate has just passed a hate crimes bill by a vote of 47 to 6. That bill has been immediately transmitted and is being printed, and we will be taking that up momentarily.
Let's find out.
Clerk will read the caption to a group of privilege resolutions.
Recognizing and honoring Dr. Joseph Hobbs. Honoring the life and memory of Dr. Joseph Bona. Honoring the life and memory, recognizing and commending Rob Cleveland for his outstanding public service. Recognizing and commending Elizabeth Landing upon the grand occasion of her retirement. Congratulating and commending Clarissa Jordan for receiving the 2020 Georgia Single Parent Legacy Builder Award in the Community Service category. Congratulating and commending Janae Clark for receiving the 2020 Georgia Single Parent Legacy Builder Award in its Art and Entertainment category. Congratulating and commending Antron Bowler for receiving the 2020 Single Parent Legacy Builder Award in the Education category. Congratulating and commending Janine Walker for receiving the 2020 Georgia Single Parent Legacy Builder Award in the Faith-Based category. Congratulating and commending Narissa Sims for receiving the 2020 Georgia Single Parent Legacy Builder Award in the Public Service category. Congratulating and commending Bianca Lassiter for receiving the 2020 Georgia Single Parent Legacy Builder Award in the Business category. Congratulating and commending Carissa Cook for receiving the 2020 Georgia Single Parent Legacy Builder Award in the Medical and Health category. For other purposes, that completes the reading of the privilege resolutions.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the privilege resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. While we're waiting on the printing to be completed, Chair wants to make mention of a couple of birthdays today. Not members, but great Georgians. Today is the birthday of United States Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas of Penn Point, Georgia. It is also the birthday of Administrative Assistant Kathy Little in the Speaker's office. I will pay for that when we get out of here. Okay, here's what we're going to do. House will come to order. Out back of the double doors into the chamber on the table is a copy of what you'll be voting on. Take a minute and go get one. Out back through the double doors in the gallery on tables are copies of the bill, and that's what you'll be voting on. And out back in room 341 on the table is a copy of the bill that you will be voting on. Take a couple of minutes and get one, and we will take up some business.
Probably okay to say this is the same thing the Senate passed other rules last night because it had such
And I will mention this is the same bill that the Senate passed out of their Rules Committee last night. The same bill. If you're going to have an announcement at the end of our business, I'm going to ask that you sign up now, because when we complete the next piece of legislation, we are going to adjourn today. It's almost lunch hour. Mr. Clerk, you want to ring the bell? The chair recognizes Chairman Chuck F. Stration for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 426.
Chairman F. Stration has moved that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 426. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 426 to be titled an act to amend Article 1, Chapter 10 of Title 17 of the official code of Georgia annotated, relating the procedure for sentencing and imposition of punishment so as to revise their criteria for imposition of punishment for crimes involving bias or prejudice.
Chair recognizes Chairman F. Stration to explain the Senate substitute to House Bill 426.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a wonderful day, a historic day here in our state capital in the state of Georgia. As you've heard me discuss before, House Bill 426 is a momentous bill that addresses a gap that we've had in Georgia law since 2004. Georgia is one of only 4 states without a hate crimes law on the books. And as I go through the language that's incorporated here in the Senate bill, I think it's important to begin with the fact that Georgia's existing law was used as the framework for this bill. That the major issue with the existing law was a lack of specificity in the named protected classes. That's something that this body did in March of 2019 when we passed House Bill 426 and sent it over to the Senate. That bill has now come back, and the only addition to the classes is the class of sex, which you'll see here in the bill. That's one of the 3 changes that I'll point out for you. The second major change is in the applicability of the bill, how this works in the criminal court context. So someone who is charged with a crime, and that's important to note, you must be charged with an underlying criminal offense for this enhanced sentence to be available. That person must first be convicted of the underlying offense, and the Senate has specified that if it is a felony offense or one of 5 misdemeanors, that there is an enhanced penalty available, which you'll see here in the language in the statute. Now, this is important because there are certain crimes that are particularly heinous, and simply looking at the criminal offense, it doesn't reflect the true nature of the crime, which is not just an offense against the victim, but it very well may be an offense against a whole group of victims or an attack on all of society. And recognition of that within our law is incredibly important. House Bill 426, as amended, does also include an additional provision in Section 2. In Section 2, there is a data provision which was added into the bill, which would allow for the state to collect necessary data in order to better determine these types of offenses and the frequency with which they occur, they're investigated, the disposition and such. The House bill that left this body and went over to the Senate also had an enhanced penalty for a misdemeanor, not a high and aggravated misdemeanor. And that is removed from this Senate version of the bill. But if I just summarize for you the 3 changes, it's number 1, designating 5 specific misdemeanors, which will allow for enhanced penalties, removing the reduced misdemeanor treatment for one that isn't one of those 5, adding sex to the protected classes and the data component in Section 2. Now, this wouldn't have been possible without the great bipartisan cooperation that we had here in this body. The Dean of the House, who I was incredibly proud to work with, who's my friend and who has been with me throughout this. We've been together throughout this process. The chair of the Legislative Black Caucus, Representative Bennett. This incredible team that we've had, along with all of our co-sponsors, bipartisan co-sponsors, to see this measure through has made this possible today. But there's no doubt about it, we would not be here without our Speaker of the House, a great leader and a great man who's dedicated to justice and unity for the people of Georgia. So I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this. As the Speaker said, this bill just passed the state Senate with an overwhelming support, 47-6. It's time for this House to do again what we did in March of 2019, and this time to send an overwhelming vote, a strong message that there's no place for hate in Georgia. I urge your support of House Bill 426. Thank you.
What purpose does Representative Vernon Jones rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, isn't it true that this piece of legislation does not include in its protected class people who are assaulted as a result of a hate crime based on their party affiliation or their political ideology?
You are absolutely correct. It does not include that.
Isn't it further true, Mr. Speaker, that people are actually being attacked based on their party affiliation or their political ideology across this country?
Well, I'm not aware of people being attacked. I know that we have our disagreements and debates from time to time, and you know, I think we've had those for well over 2 centuries now, Representative.
Isn't it true, Mr. Speaker, that people have been assaulted by wearing a political cap in this country, physically assaulted?
I have not seen anybody be physically assaulted, but they could have been.
Final parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
Sure.
Isn't it true, Mr. Speaker, that I do have an amendment that will address people being attacked primarily because of their political persuasion, affiliation, or political ideology, and that myself, I've also received threats, among other things, from people just based on my freedom of expression, which is one of our Constitution, which is an amendment to our Constitution, freedom of expression, that if we don't address this now, we're going to come back to this body when someone gets hurt.
On the gentleman's motion that this House, what purpose does Representative Holly rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
It's not true, Mr. Speaker, that with the respect that I have for my colleague who just spoke, that in light of the deaths of people who were not able to be here, that maybe this is not the time to compare your tragedy because you are not their martyr. Is this true, sir?
I'm sure the gentleman believes that to be true.
Thank you.
On the gentleman's motion, what purpose does Chairman Setzler rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that when we passed this bill last session in March, Section 2 is not a part of this bill, Mr. Speaker? Isn't that true?
What is that section? That is correct.
Isn't it further true, Mr. Speaker, that, and again, I appreciate the deliberation with which this body has taken things, but Section 2, just to be clear, it creates a circumstance where if it appears that a defendant might have been selected for one of these alleged hate crimes, it requires law enforcement to create a biased crime report where and if there is evidence, it doesn't mean that they're convicted, doesn't say there's a preponderance of the evidence, but if evidence exists, this biased crime report is logged and is maintained. In fact, the only thing that requires this to happen, even if law enforcement does not see it happen, isn't it true, that any offense that's counted, an offense shall be counted for each incident reported to the police. So that under this bill, this is not what we passed before, this bill says that any incident reported to the police shall be a separate incident of a biased crime report. This is not, isn't it true, Mr. Speaker, debated in committee in this chamber? This was added on by the Senate, and the posture to take that out and to pass the clean hate crimes bill we contemplated earlier is to vote no on this and vote on a version that's more consistent with what the House passed before. Isn't it true?
Well, you know, this is a process, Mr. Chairman. It's a process that involves a little compromise. And I've seen very few measures go through here that were not the result of compromise because everybody brings different ideas to the table. What purpose does Representative Gertler rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that we should not be lowering and hiring the standard of justice based on immutable factors such as race, ethnicity, and gender?
If the gentleman believes that, I'm sure he thinks it's accurate. What purpose does Representative Frazier rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, isn't it true that Ahmaud Arbery's mother, Ms. Wanda Cooper Jones, is watching this session live as we speak, and she supports House Bill 426?
And I hope that she is watching it, Representative. Okay, on the gentleman's motion that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 426, all those in favor of the motion will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines and call the roll.
Alexander, Anulowitz, Barr, Barton, Belton, Bennett, Bentley, Benton, Beverly, Blackman, Bodie, Bruce, Burns, Carpenter, Carson, Chokus, Clark H., Collins, Cooper, Corbett, Dempsey, Dickey, Dollar, Drenner, Dubnik, Efstration, England, Irwin, Fleming, Fry, Gaines, Gardner, Glanton, Gravely, Harrell, Hatchett, Hawkins, Hitchens, Holcomb, Holmes, Houston, Hughley, Jackson M., Jaspers, Jones J., Kelly, Kendrick, Knight, LaHood, LaRicchia, Lumsden, Martin, Mathiak, McCall, Morris G., Newton, Nix, Oliver, Parrish, Parsons, Petrie, Perkel, Powell, Reeves, Rhodes, Rich, Ridley, Rutledge, Scoggins, Setzler, Silcox, Smith L., Smith R., Smith V., Smyrie, Stevens R., Tankersley, Tanner, Tarvin, Taylor, Thomas E., Trammell, Washburn, Watson, Welch, Werkheiser, Wiedauer, Williams A., Williamson, Yurda, Allen, Bazemore, Bernal, Cannon, Carter, Clark D., Clark J., Cook, Davis, Douglas, Dreyer, Donahue, Earhart, Evans, Frazier, Gilligan, Gertler, Henson, Hill, Hogan, Holland, Holly, Hobson, Howard, Hutchinson, Jackson D., Jones S., Jones T., Jones V., Couch, Kennard, Lopez Romero, Marin, McLean, McLaurin, McLeod, Meeks, Mitchell, Moore B., Moore C., Morris M., Nelson, Huen, Paris, Prince, Pullen, Robichaux, Saints, Schofield, Scott, Shannon, Sharper, Smith M, Stevens M, Stevenson, Thomas A.M., Turner, Walensky, Wilkerson, Williams M.F., Williams N., Wilson, Beasley Teague,
Yes.
Bonner,
No.
Buckner,
Yes.
Burchett, Caldwell,
No.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cantrell,
No.
Dickerson,
Yes.
Dukes,
Yes.
Gamble,
No.
Gilliard,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Gullett,
No.
Jones J.B.,
Yes.
Kirby,
Yes.
Lott, Mathis,
No.
Metz,
Yes.
Momtahan,
No.
Park,
Yes.
Pruitt,
No.
Rogers, Singleton,
No.
Stovall,
Yes.
Williams R,
Yes.
Dollar, Dubnik, Earhart, Jones V, Lott, Thomas A.M., Rogers,
While you're taking a moment to look at the board and be sure it's accurate, you know, it occurred to me a day or so ago that there are very few times that members of a legislative body get called upon at a defining moment in our history. But this is a defining moment for Georgia. It's a moment where, in the midst of a global pandemic and widespread civil unrest, Georgia has stood strong for that which is right. I want to commend the Senate for joining with us in this effort. So many in this body have worked so hard to see this day get here. Two leaders deserve special tribute: Chairman Chuck F. Strachan and Dean Calvin Smyrie. I don't know that I've ever seen the kind of courage and strong leadership in shepherding this bill through the process for more than 470 days. And gentlemen, your work will leave an enduring legacy. This is a historic moment, and I am beyond proud that this House has acted in a bold, bipartisan manner so that today we can all stand together Today we have said that we will not be defined by a senseless act of evil and by the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, but that our Georgia is better than this. Mr. Clerk, you may lock the machines on the motion that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 426. The ayes are 127, the nays are 38. And this House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 426. Chair recognizes Representative Cannon for an announcement. We got a microphone up there. Representative Cannon for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to let all the members know Ray Shards Brooks's funeral just concluded a few minutes ago. I do have the program here with me. If you would like to see it or if you would like a copy of it, please come and see me. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Cooper for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There will be no Health and Human Services meeting today. No Health and Human Services meeting. Looks like we've had our last one, and I just want to say thanks to all my committee meeting members, to the best committee in the House. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Tim Barr for an announcement.
Good afternoon, y'all. We have a environmental subcommittee meeting in the morning, 8 o'clock, environmental subcommittee. We also have the fellowship meeting tomorrow in room 133. Room 133, 7:15 for the fellowship meeting in the morning.
Chair recognizes the Majority Caucus Whip, Chairman Kelly, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your committee on the special access to the civil justice system will be meeting this afternoon. We're still working out the time, so pay attention to your emails. We'll be meeting 1:32. We're just working out some scheduling conflicts, but look forward to seeing everybody.
Senate Bill 318 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Senate Bill 337 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Senate Bill 340 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Senate Bill 394 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Senate Bill 446 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Senate Bill 482 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Senate Bill 28 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Senate Bill 367 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Senate Bill 426 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Senate Bill 445 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Senate Bill 473 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Senate Bill 477 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Senate Bill 410 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Chair recognizes Chairman Fleming for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Judiciary Committee will meet in room 132, 15 minutes upon adjournment. Let's make that 10 minutes upon adjournment, and very shortly. 132, House Judiciary Committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senate Bill 489 will be postponed to the next legislative day. The chair recognizes the majority leader of the House for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Wednesday, June 24th, 2020.
The majority leader has moved that this House be adjourned until Wednesday, June 24th at 10 a.m. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. This House will be adjourned until Wednesday at 10 a.m.